Hello and blessings, beautiful souls. Saravá Axé to you. How are you today? I'm so happy to be looking into your beautiful smiling faces. I know that I say that every day because I mean it to the bottom of my heart. I mean it. Today is the very first frost in this area, so we know that we're edging into colder days and nights, and it was quite chilly this morning. I think it was below 1 degree, and so I woke up this morning and everything was blanketed in a light frost, and the kids got really excited. So today we are heading into Hobart. So I've made it into the city. Check out this awesome busker behind me. Yeah, he's got a good sound coming out of him. Now, I wanted to discuss something that is often asked of me, and that is my headscarves. How I tie my headscarves, why I wear my headscarves, where I get my headscarves from. So I thought, since I'm in the city and this is the place where I usually go to get my headscarves when I feel like I need a new one, I thought that I would take you to the place that I love to go to get my headscarves, and then talk a little bit about why I choose to use them as much as I do, and maybe even when I get home I might be able to show you how I tie them. So how's about that?
Drunk at night, in LA picking fights. I think we have done it all.
Okay, so my favourite place by far to get my head wraps is Dangerfield, which is over here. Now, Dangerfield is a clothing company that is Australian owned. Their designs are created here in Australia, in Melbourne, and they're manufactured overseas, but they have the best selection of headscarves to date, and they seem to weave this mystical occult energy just naturally into all of their creations. And so have a look behind me here. There is the scarf rack, and there's astrology scarves. Look at that. And like little moon scarves, and just so many great designs. And I come here and grab them, and then I use them as much as I possibly can. So I've acquired these 2 scarves as intended head wraps. I'm gonna go pay for them and then take them home and show you how I use them, and then talk a little bit about why I use them. Okay, so I'm back home now and I'm feeling really exhausted actually. But let's please continue this talk on headscarves. Now, there are many reasons why practitioners of the craft wrap their heads, and I am not in a position to comment on every single reason because I only belong to one type of hereditary practice. And growing up, from when I was like tiny little person, I was always surrounded by women who wrapped their heads. My grandmother, my great-grandmother, my aunties, my grandmother's best friends, Iselia, and her daughter, my mother, my big sister started to at a particular age. I think after she was around 16 years of age. I definitely remember her being more into head wrapping when she was around 18, but she started playing around with it at 16. And so I have always had women around me with head wraps. It's as simple as that. Some beautiful head wraps, some religious head wraps, and so on and so forth. So I grew up with this image. And as I began my, for the lack of a better word, let's just call it training, education, something towards those lines, right? As I began immersing myself into my family's practice, I was always encouraged to wrap my head. Special emphasis was placed on wrapping my head, specifically when we did house cleansings and these types of body cleansings and things like that, from a metaphysical perspective or a magical perspective. And so I do have a photo on my Instagram from the very last time I was in Brazil, and we were doing a working on the house to really remove it of all its, you know, yucky energy, because our house over there is a thoroughfare of people. yes, you would see me with my head wrapped up. My mother had her head wrapped up, my sister, and we were working with such herbs like onion skin, garlic skin, asafoetida, which is sulfur. Then we came through with other, you know, sweeter herbs towards the end, but we really walked through it. And we had our heads wrapped as a form of protection, because as mediums, you must guard the head. Especially in our tradition, you must guard your head. Why I wear head wraps outside of that context is that I'm very sensitive. I don't want to pick up on the energy and the thoughts and opinions and feels of others. I'm very, 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 very sensitive to other people's moods. I'm very sensitive to other people's guides. As a spirit worker, I don't want to walk around hearing everything. I just don't. So I wrap my head, and it closes that portal off in part. It's a physical action that then instigates a metaphysical action in part. There is more to this story that I just can't seem to get into. I can't articulate it. However, it comes down to the feeling. I feel more secure with my head wrapped. It's as simple as that. And I speak from a metaphysical perspective when I say that. I feel so grounded and centered and secured, because the head wrap has such a powerful place in my practice. It's like a warm hug. It's like somebody is hugging my head, and I feel centered, I feel grounded, and I feel very confident in moving around my environment. But prior to me really getting into head wrapping, say when I was in high school and even my early 20s, when everything was about the look, and you know, such was the case, I didn't really wrap my head all that much. I still did, but not all that much. And there was a difference. There was a huge difference in me and in my personality and in my practice. And so it wasn't until probably I started having children that my psychic gifts really amped up. When I was pregnant for the first time, and it's been like that ever since. It's like I opened up a part of myself in that way, which is a conversation for another day. But after that, I felt like I really needed to wrap my head. My mother would tell me, wrap your head. Wrap your head. This is something that you need, a pano de cabeça. That's what she would say, wrap your head. My sister would be like, you have to wrap your head. You can't just walk around after having these types of experiences, and I care not to mention the experiences, but you can't just walk around like that without having your head secure. And so until I really started to wrap my head on a regular basis, I would have to have all of these spiritual baths, and I got exhausted hunting down white rose petals. I got exhausted of hunting down novella candles. I just got exhausted, and I decided, well, it's probably a lot easier if I just fucking wrap my head. And so I did, and I started wrapping my head. And then I got so used to wrapping my head that now my head looks bare without a head wrap on. And if I'm not wearing a head wrap, I'm wearing a bandana or a scarf or something, or a hat. I just feel more secure when my head is covered, and I don't feel any kind of metaphysical interference when I have my head covered. That is why I wrap my head. There is a lot more to the story that I just don't feel comfortable mentioning, but just know that there is a practical reason. It holds my bad fringes back, and by fringe I mean bangs. I go through phases with bangs, and I can hold that back. It covers up bad hair days. It makes your head a bit warmer on days where it's cold. So there's practical reasons as well. But for me, it's less about the practical reasons and more about the metaphysical reasons, which is pretty much my greatest motivation. So let's have a look at how I wrap my head. Please know that I have hat hair because I have been wearing this hat since 7 this morning. So it's not going to look pretty under there. Okay, so I did get a couple of head wraps, but I'm not in the mood to chop off all the bits and pieces yet and give them a zhuzhing, and I prefer to wash things before I start to place them on my body, because, you know, you never know how many people handle these things. Anyway, so I just thought that I would use hat hair. I just thought that I would use the scarf that's been wrapped around my neck all day long, keeping me toasty warm. And so this is it. It's pretty big, and I like to sort of throw it into a loose, like, rectangle shape. I try not to be too pedantic about this. because it's not really about the exact science of it. It's just about, you know, thickening it up a bit. So I just make sure that it's longer. I'll roll it around like this a couple of times. There's really no exact science to it. And it's basically a long rope now, as you can see. It's just like a long rope. And I put it over my head like this. And this is very messily done, mind you. But I don't mind the mess. I don't mind it being loose. I don't mind it being bulky on my head. I don't want it to sit flat. I'm not a pirate. I just tie it like a little bow. And then see these types of things that happen? You just then go in and tuck it. You just tuck, tuck, tuck. I mean, and every time I do this, it looks different. The bow's enormous this time around, and it's not usually enormous. So you can pull that and make it a little bit smaller. You can tuck it, you can pin it, you can shift it, you can have the bow all the way to the side. You can have no bow at all. But I like to wear a head wrap when my hair is up as well. And then that's pretty much how it looks. Like that would be good for me. Like I'd be good to go with that. Every head wrap demands a different method, but basically I like to have a long piece to work with. I always wrap from the top. If you want something that's a little bit neater, then try going for a triangle and fold your scarf, for instance, from the tip inwards, so that when you place it on your head, the last thing that's hanging out isn't that little tip, because that's going to annoy you and it's going to look funny. So always wrap from the point inwards, and then you've kind of got a long, thicker type of band to work with. But I've never been one for smaller types of headbands. I wear them from time to time, but I don't have as many as I do scarves. And so I have a collection of scarves, which I may show one day. And I've just picked up 2 new scarves as well, because I'm out of control. But that's how I scarf. If you want something more detailed, I'd be happy to do something like that for you. But really, it's not an exact science. I'm not one of those types of people where everything needs to be perfect. I like things to be a little bit unique. I like things to be a little on the messy side. Organized chaos, as I like to call it. For me, it's not supposed to be polished. It's not supposed to be keenly folded. It's supposed to create volume on my head, and it's supposed to keep me warm, and it's supposed to create character, and that's exactly what my head wraps tend to do. I go for the look of a flower. You will see the photos. You've probably seen the photos already. I like to go for like the flower look. And there you have it. That's basically what I do with my scarves, how I wrap my head, why I wear head wraps, and a little story from home. And let me just finish it off here by saying that when you grow up with everyone around you wrapping their damn head, you kind of just like gel with the concept. It doesn't feel weird to me. It doesn't look foreign. But here, when I'm walking around the city, I'm the only damn person with my head wrapped the way that I wrap it. And that's kind of cool. Because even though I know for a fact that there's, you know, thousands of people that do it back home, there doesn't seem to be that many people doing it here. So I just get to be a little unique, doing something that is so common in my country and yet not so common here. I did something today, guys. I did something naughty. I did something naughty. But I will reveal that tomorrow, because I'm a wee bit excited and I have been thinking about this for a little while. Some of you may already have guessed it, but it involves a new vlogging camera. I'm just gonna leave that with you, okay? So thank you so much for hanging out with me today, beautiful souls. It was an absolute pleasure sharing this space with you, sharing these stories with you. If you have enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Do comment below. Do you wrap your head? Have you always wanted to wrap your head? Yeah, what's your relationship with a head wrap? And would you consider wrapping your head for spiritual reasons? I'm curious to know, would you do that? Is that something that you think would help you processing spirit and working with spirit and protecting or guarding yourself and your psychic energies? Is that something that is going to somehow leave an impact? Do you believe that that will? Anyway, so many questions for you. So many questions. Feel free to leave your comments in the description box below. And with all of that said and done, I'm wishing you so much love, luck, peace, and joy. Sending you big warm cuddles. It's been a very cold day today, and I'm feeling like precious at the moment. I need a cuddle. So I'm gonna go edit this vlog, go for a little sleep probably, and wake up tomorrow to a better, brighter, more bubbly me. Much love, many blessings, guys. Bye.